The colony market was loud, full of movement, colors, and voices. It was built in the center of a dusty alien town called Relora, far from Earth. Humans, aliens, robots, and traders from other systems all passed through this place. But behind the shining lights and tall buildings and a narrow space between two metal walls, a small alien girl sat in silence. Her skin was dull gray, covered in dust and grime. Her clothes were torn. She had long, thin fingers that held her knees, close to her chest. Her eyes, large and purple, watched the busy street like a silent ghost. People passed her every few seconds, but no one looked at her. No one cared. She hadn't eaten anything in 2 days. A food stand nearby sold fried insect cakes and hot energy bread. The smell made her stomach twist painfully. She wanted to crawl closer, but she knew better. The last time she tried to beg, someone kicked her and told her to disappear. Street trash, they had called her. So she waited, watched, and stayed hidden in the shadows. Far across the market, a human man named Jack stepped out of a cargo ship. He had just arrived from a delivery job, bringing water tanks and solar batteries from a mining station. He wore dusty boots and a simple jacket with patches on the elbows. He wasn't rich, he wasn't a soldier, he was just passing through. But Jack had good eyes. Eyes that noticed what others ignored. As he walked through the market, something made him stop, a flicker of movement in the alley. He turned his head and spotted her, just for a moment. At first, he thought she was a sick pet. Then he saw the eyes. The girl was maybe 8 years old, though it was hard to tell. Her face was thin, cheeks hollow, hair matted to her head. She didn't speak. She didn't even blink. Jack's hand moved into his side pouch. He had one last protein bar. Vanilla. Flavor, still wrapped. It wasn't much, but he didn't think twice. He crouched near the alley entrance and held out the bar. She stared at him. No movement. Just those wide, empty eyes. "It's okay," Jack said softly. "You can take it." For a full minute, nothing happened. Then, like lightning, she rushed forward, snatched the bar, and ran into the shadows again. Jack didn't follow. He just stood there, surprised by how fast she had moved. He watched the shadows for a while, then walked away. Later that night, Jack camped near the landing docks. He set up a small tent and turned on his heat lamp. He had a blanket, a sleeping mat, and a worn-out datapad he used for reading. As he sat and chewed a dry meal, he couldn't stop thinking about the girl. Why was she alone? Why didn't anyone help her? Wasn't this colony part of a civilized system? He pushed the thoughts aside and went to sleep. But he didn't know he was being watched. From the rooftop nearby, the little alien girl sat curled under a broken pipe, clutching the protein bar to her chest. She hadn't eaten it yet. She kept looking at it like it was made of gold. She didn't know why the human gave it to her. No one had ever done that before. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel invisible. The next morning, Jack woke, up early. As he packed his gear, he noticed something odd. Tiny footprints in the dust near his tent. Small, barefoot. They led close to his gear, then away again. Nothing was missing, but the prints told him enough. She was here, he whispered. He reached into his bag, pulled out another food pack, a heat-sealed fruit pouch, and placed it on a crate outside his tent. Then he walked away, pretending not to care. When he returned an hour later, the pouch was gone. That night, he repeated the same thing. He left half a sandwich wrapped in paper on the crate. Gone by morning. By the third day, Jack set up a small, plastic bowl with water beside the food. This time, he stayed nearby and waited. She came. Slowly, carefully, like a wild animal. She moved on hands and feet, keeping low, sniffing the air. Jack didn't speak. He sat with his back to her, pretending to look at the stars. She reached the crate, grabbed the food, and turned to run, but stopped. "Why?" she asked in a small, hoarse voice. Jack turned his head slightly. "Because you looked hungry." She blinked, confused. "You don't hate me?" Jack frowned. "Why would I hate you?" Others do. They say I'm broken, dirty. Jack shook his head. You're not. What's your name? She hesitated. Nara. That's a good name, Jack said gently. I'm Jack. She nodded once, then she ran back into the shadows. Over the next few days, Nara began appearing more often. She never got too close, but she listened to Jack talk. He told her about the planets he had seen, the strange creatures he'd met, and the stars above that never stopped shining. He didn't ask questions about her past. She didn't offer any. But one evening, while sitting near the heat lamp, she rolled up her sleeve and showed him a scar. It was long, sharp, and slightly glowing. It didn't look like a normal wound. From the mines, she said. When the soldiers came, I ran. Jack didn't understand it all, but he knew one thing. Nara had survived something terrible, and she had done it all alone. You're strong, he told her. She looked away. I don't feel strong. You are, Jack said. You're still here. Nara sat in silence, hugging her knees. But she didn't run this time, and for the first time in her life she felt a little safer. Every morning now, Jack placed a small item near the crate beside his tent, sometimes a food pack, sometimes clean water, and once, even a small brush he had found in his toolbox. Each time Nara came quietly, picked it up, and left without a sound, but she was getting braver. Instead of hiding far away, she now sat nearby, watching Jack from a short distance. She didn't speak much, but her eyes followed his every move. She was learning from him. How he cleaned his tools, how he prepared simple meals, how he checked the skies before sleeping. One day, Jack brought a folded blanket and placed it near the crate. He didn't say anything. He just left it there and sat down as usual. Nara came when the sun had started to fall. She touched the blanket carefully with both hands, like it might vanish. Then she looked at Jack. For me? She asked. Jack nodded. It's clean. You'll sleep better with it. She held the blanket close. Thank you. Jack smiled. You're welcome, Nara. She looked up at him. You remember my name? Of course I do, he replied. It's a good name. Strong. She didn't smile, but something in her eyes changed. Just a little. A soft light, like she wanted to believe him. The next evening, as stars filled the sky, Nara came early. She sat across from Jack, still holding the brush he had given her. Her hair had been brushed, though it was still messy and rough. Her face was cleaner, too. Jack noticed her effort, but didn't say anything to embarrass her. They sat quietly, for a while, eating their meals. Jack had heated some soup from a ration pack. He gave her half. She ate slowly, carefully, savoring every bite. After she finished, she sat very still, staring at the ground. Then, without speaking, she rolled up her sleeve. Jack looked at the mark, on her arm again, the scar he had seen days before. But now that he was closer, he saw more. It wasn't just a wound. It was a mark burned into her skin. Lines, symbols, and a faint blue glow beneath the surface. Nara. Who did this? He asked gently. She didn't answer for a long time, then she whispered, The soldiers when they burned my home. Jack felt anger rise in his chest. Why? They said we were rebels. My family. We lived near the mines. They came to take it. My father tried to stop them. Her voice shook. They killed him. My mother, too. Jack listened, silent. He didn't ask more. Nara continued, her voice now low and hollow. They marked me as a reminder so others would be afraid. Jack took a deep breath. You escaped. She nodded. I ran. I hid for weeks, then I came here. Jack looked at her. This child had survived what most grown adults couldn't. No food, no shelter, no help. She had lived through fire, pain, and fear, and she was still here. You're brave, he said. No, she replied. I'm just still alive. Jack shook his head. That's what bravery looks like sometimes. The next few days brought light rain. Jack gave Nara a waterproof tarp to help her stay dry. He also taught her how to wrap it into a small tent shape. She was smart. She watched and learned quickly. At night, Jack noticed her sleeping closer to his camp. Not inside, not beside him, but within reach. Close enough to feel safe. He told her stories about Earth, about blue oceans, green forests, and animals that played in the snow. Nara listened with wide eyes, asking quiet questions. "What is a dog?" she asked. Jack laughed. "A loyal creature. They wag their tails and jump on you when they're happy." "Why?" she asked. "Because they love you," Jack replied. Nara looked confused, then thoughtful. "I want to see one someday." "You will," Jack promised, but not everything was peaceful. One afternoon, while Jack was picking up parts from a repair stall, a local patrol officer spotted Nara standing near his tent. The officer walked over, frowning. "What is this?" the officer asked sharply. Nara stepped back in fear. She didn't speak. When Jack returned, he saw the officer pointing at her. "She's with me," Jack said quickly. The officer raised an eyebrow. "You're feeding an undocumented stray?" "She's just a child," Jack said. "That child is illegal," the officer snapped. "No ID, no tribe registration. Technically, she's not even a person under colony law. Helping her breaks the rules." Jack clenched his fists. "So what? I should let her starve?" The officer didn't answer. He took out a scanner and held it toward Nara. She stepped back, shaking. Jack moved between them. "Back off," he said firmly. The officer frowned. "You've been warned. Next time there'll be a fine. Or worse." Then he walked away. Jack turned to Nara. She looked like she was going to cry. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "No," Jack said, kneeling beside her. "You did nothing wrong." "They'll take me away," she said. "Not if I can help it," Jack promised. That night, Jack didn't sleep much. He sat outside his tent, watching the shadows, thinking. He knew the colony laws, he knew how they treated the poor, the voiceless, and he knew Nara wouldn't survive without someone standing beside her. The next morning, he took Nara with him to the local medic post. It was run by a human woman named Dr. Selma, someone Jack had worked with before. Selma looked at Nara and frowned. "You brought me a ghost," she said softly. "She needs help," Jack replied. "Medical records. Identity. Something." Selma scanned Nara's arm. "Nothing. She's not in the system. No records at all. Can you make some?" Jack asked. Selma hesitated. "It's risky." "Please," Jack said. The doctor nodded slowly. "Leave her with me for a few hours. I'll clean her up. Give her a basic health check." Jack looked at Nara. "It's okay, she's safe." Nara didn't want to let go of Jack's hand, but she nodded. "Okay." Jack stepped outside and waited. When he returned, Nara wore clean clothes and her hair was neatly tied back. Her eyes were brighter. Selma handed Jack a small data card. "This is all I can do," she said. "It's a fake ID, but it might pass, if no one checks too close." Jack took the card and thanked her. As they left, Nara looked up at him. "Why do you help me?" Jack paused. "Because someone should have helped you a long time ago." She didn't speak, but she held his hand tighter. The wind was stronger today, blowing sand across the colony streets. Most people rushed through their errands, heads down, avoiding both the weather and the weak. But one small alien girl walked beside a human man, her eyes alert and her steps careful. Nara wore clean clothes now, thanks to Dr. Selma. She also carried a small ID card hidden in the folds of her jacket, one that Jack hoped would protect her. But it wasn't real, and deep down Jack knew it wouldn't last forever. Still, he had to try. Jack brought Nara to the colony registration office. The building looked like a tall gray box, with bright blue lights at the entrance and guards standing near the doors. Nara hesitated as they approached. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. Jack nodded. We'll just ask. Maybe someone will listen. Inside, the air smelled like metal and cleaning fluid. People stood in long lines, holding forms and talking to machines. A receptionist drone floated above them and beeped. Next! Jack stepped forward with Nara beside him. The drone scanned his ID. Jack Mason, human, verified. Reason for visit? I want to register this child, Jack said. Her name is Nara. She needs status, food rations, medical care. The drone tilted slightly. Error. Subject not recognized. Species. Unknown hybrid. No data match found. Jack frowned. Can you create a profile for her? A temporary ID at least? The drone beeped again. Access denied. Colony law does not allow undocumented non-citizens to register without parental or tribal sponsorship. Please report the subject to colony security for relocation. She's not a threat, Jack said sharply. Policy is clear. The drone replied. Nara stood quietly, her hands shaking. Jack gritted his teeth. Let me speak to someone in charge. Request denied, the drone said. Do not interfere with colony procedures. The lights above the desk turned red. A nearby guard turned his head. Jack saw him look toward them, frown, and begin walking. Over. Let's go, Jack whispered to Nara. They turned and left quickly before the guard could stop them. Back outside, Jack looked up at the dusty sky. No help from the system, he muttered. They want me gone, Nara said. Her voice was flat now. Like I don't exist. You do exist, Jack said, and I'm not giving up. Later that day, Jack met with a colony contact named Yoren, a trader who sometimes handled gray market documents. Jack didn't like dealing with shady people, but right now he had no choice. Yoren raised an eyebrow when he saw Nara. That her? The one you've been hiding? She needs papers. Real ones this time, Jack said. And safe. Not easy, Yoren said. She's not human, not registered, and the patrols are alert lately. I'll pay. You don't have enough credits for that. Jack looked at him calmly. Then tell me what I can trade. Yoren stared for a moment, then shrugged. You're crazy, Mason, but I'll see what I can do. Come back in 2 days. As Jack turned to leave, Yoren added, Watch your back. People are starting to notice. That night, Jack noticed something strange. When he returned to his camp, his storage crate had been opened. Some tools were missing and the tarp was torn. Nothing big, but enough to send a message. He looked around carefully. In the dark, he saw a small camera drone hovering behind a rock. He walked over and smashed it with a stick. Someone was watching him. The next morning, while Jack made tea, Nara sat beside him drawing shapes in the dirt. She was quiet but more peaceful than before. Jack, she said, why do humans help others? He thought for a moment. Not all do. But some believe in kindness, in doing the right thing even when it's hard. Is that why you helped? Me? He nodded. Yes. She looked down. I want to help someone too. Someday. You will, Jack said. You already helped me, Nara. She tilted her head. How? You reminded me what being human really means. Later that day, trouble came. A group of colony security officers arrived at Jack's camp. They wore black armor and carried scanners. Their leader, a tall woman with a sharp voice, stepped forward. Jack Mason, she said. You are under investigation for aiding an undocumented non-citizen. Jack stood calmly. She's a child, she needs help. That is not the law's concern, the officer said coldly. Step aside. We are taking the subject in for processing. Nara stood behind Jack, eyes wide with fear. No. Jack said. You want to be charged too? The officer asked. Jack raised his hand slightly. She's not a threat. She's a survivor. She's been through more than you can imagine. The officer signaled her men. Take them both. Suddenly, loud static filled the air. A voice came from one of the guards' radios. Cancel detainment. Orders from higher authority. Stand down. The officer frowned. Say again? Repeat, stand down. Subject is no longer a priority. She looked at Jack with suspicion, then gave a short nod. You were lucky this time. Then the guards left. Jack breathed out slowly. He didn't understand what just happened, but he wasn't going to question it. Later, Yoren found him behind the market and handed him a data chip. Someone high up gave the signal. I don't know why, but this might buy you a little time. What's on the chip? Jack asked. Medical data. An old file. Might be useful. Jack scanned it. His eyes widened. Nara's DNA carried something rare. Regenerative markers not seen in any known species. Healing genes. Immune system strength beyond normal. She was special, not just to him, but to science. Is that why they wanted her gone? Jack asked. Maybe, Yoren said. Or maybe someone didn't want others to know how valuable she really is. That night, Jack watched Nara sleep peacefully under the tarp. He sat beside the fire thinking. They couldn't stay on the colony much longer. It wasn't safe. But now he had something. Proof that Nara mattered. That her life had value. He looked at the stars above. We're not done yet, he whispered. Not by a long shot. The next morning was quiet, but too quiet. Jack stood outside his camp, looking at the hills in the distance. The colony air was dry and filled with tension. He felt it in his bones. Something had changed. The officers had left, but that didn't mean they were safe. Inside the tent, Nara sat holding a mug of warm water. She didn't drink it. She was staring at the floor, deep in thought. Jack stepped inside. Nara, he said gently, we can't stay here anymore. She looked up. Where will we go? There's a safe zone beyond the dust line ridge. It's far from the colony. No patrols, no scanners. People hide there when they have no place else to go. Is it cold? She asked. Very, but we'll make a fire. Can I come? Jack smiled. I wouldn't leave without you. They packed fast. Jack loaded his small ground rover with fuel cells, food packs, blankets, and a thermal tent. Nara helped by folding things neatly and tying bags. She had grown stronger, more alert, more hopeful. Just before leaving, Jack left a short message. With Dr. Selma. We're heading out, thank you for helping her, tell no one. Then they drove away, the rover humming softly across the hard soil. The land beyond the colony was dry, red, and wide. Cracked ground stretched in all directions. Strange rock formations stood like statues, shaped by wind and time. As they moved deeper into the wasteland, Jack pointed out ancient mining machines half buried in the sand. Nara asked about each one. She was full of questions, some curious, some sad. Did people live out here, she asked. Long ago, when the mines were active. Then they moved closer to the central colony. Did they leave anyone behind? Jack looked ahead. Probably. Nara was quiet again. Like me. No, he said. You're not left behind anymore. By nightfall, the wind turned strong. Jack stopped the rover near a rock wall and set up the thermal tent. Nara helped, placing heating rods in the corners. Once the tent was secure, they crawled inside. It was warm, almost cozy. Jack opened a ration pack and shared it with Nara. She didn't eat much, but she smiled after a few bites. Jack, she said, do you miss Earth? He nodded. Sometimes I miss the rain. And trees, real ones. Will I ever see it? Someday, when it's safe. She looked at the stars through the tent window. I want to plant something, grow food, help others. Jack watched her. You will. I believe that. Suddenly, a sharp noise outside made Jack sit up straight. He opened the tent flap slowly. A flicker of movement. Something big passed between the rocks. Jack reached for his scanner. Stay here, he told Nara. She nodded, hugging her blanket tightly. Jack stepped out into the wind. He scanned the area. Heat signature detected. Not human. Not animal either. Then he saw it. A large shadow moved out from behind a boulder. It was a desert crawler. 4 legs, armored back, yellow eyes. Not aggressive unless cornered, but dangerous, if threatened. Jack backed up slowly, but the crawler didn't attack. It sniffed the air, turned, and walked away. Jack returned to the tent. "We're fine, just a curious creature." Nara was still holding her breath. "Are there many of those?" "A few. They usually stay away from firelight." "Good," she whispered. The next day they reached the edge of Dustline Ridge. The land dropped into a valley filled with strange blue plants glowing in the shadows. This was the border of the safe zone, a forgotten area not on colony maps. Refugees, drifters, and exiles lived here. Jack slowed the rover and scanned the area. "Nobody close," he said. "We'll find shelter soon." As they drove into the valley, Nara saw homes made from crashed ships, scrap metal, and cloth. Smoke rose from some of them. People moved carefully, watching from a distance. No one greeted them, but no one attacked either. They parked near a large container half buried in the ground. Jack knocked on the metal door 3 times. It opened. Tall man with a beard and one robotic arm stood inside. "Jack," he said. "Didn't expect you." "Hi, Ren. I need a place to stay, just for a while." Ren looked at Nara. "She's with me," Jack said. Ren nodded. "Come in." The shelter was simple. 2 beds, a heater, and clean water. Nara sat down slowly, looking around. Ren handed Jack a small data pad. "Word is spreading. Someone in the colony tried to flag you, but the signal got blocked. Someone else higher up is protecting you." "Any idea who?" Jack asked. "No. But you'd better not trust it. Could be a trap." Jack agreed. "I'll lay low." Ren looked at Nara again. "She's quiet. She's been through a lot." "I can tell." Ren walked over to a shelf and brought a small soft toy, a faded animal with big ears. He handed it to Nara. "Here, it's clean." She looked at it with wide eyes. "Thank you." "You're welcome," Ren said. "You're safe here." That night, Jack sat outside, watching the stars. Ren joined him. "She's more than just a child, isn't she? She's rare. Her DNA could change medical science, but if the wrong people find out, they'll use her." "You're protecting something important, Jack." "I know. Then don't stay too long. Sooner or later, someone will come looking." Inside the shelter, Nara sat holding the soft toy. For the first time, she didn't feel scared. The bed was warm. The walls felt safe. She whispered to herself, "I want to help others, just like he helped me." And with that thought in her heart, she finally fell asleep without fear. The next few days in the safe zone passed slowly. Jack and Nara stayed inside the shelter most of the time. The people around them didn't speak much, but they didn't harm anyone either. They were like ghosts, those forgotten by the system, hiding from a world that no longer cared about them. But here, Nara was no longer hiding. She was learning. Each morning, Jack gave her simple tasks: boiling water, cleaning the shelter, drawing shapes on a data pad to learn human words. She was smart, quiet, and always careful, but her eyes held something new now: hope. One morning, Jack gave her a broken tool and showed her how to fix it. Nara worked slowly, twisting the parts with her small fingers. After some time, the tool clicked back into place. She looked up, surprised. "I did it," she whispered. Jack smiled. "Yes, you did." She hugged the tool like it was a treasure. Outside, Ren brought news. "Colony ships were seen flying low near the ridge," he said. "They're searching." "For us?" Jack asked. "Probably. You need to move soon." Jack nodded. He had been thinking about it for days. Staying in one place wasn't safe anymore. Not for Nara. "I want to take her to the outer ring," he said. "There's a medic outpost near Sector 12. Quiet, protected, and they don't follow colony rules." "It's far," Ren warned. "Rough terrain. You'll need help." "I'll manage." Ren looked at Nara through the window. "She's worth it, isn't she?" Jack nodded. "More than anything." That night, Nara sat beside Jack near the heater. Are we leaving again? She asked. Jack looked at her softly. Yes. One more trip. But this time we're going somewhere better. Will I be safe? I'll make sure of it. Nara held his hand tightly. I'm not scared anymore. Jack smiled. You're strong now. She nodded. Because you saw me when no one else did. They left early the next morning. The rover was packed again. Food, water, fuel cells, medical supplies. Wren gave them extra filters and a map drawn by hand. Jack thanked him. If we make it, I'll send word. You'd better, Wren replied, and take care of her. The journey was harder this time. They crossed steep hills, deep valleys, and thick clouds of red dust. Once they got stuck in a dried riverbed and Jack had to dig the rover free with his bare hands. Another night, a sandstorm forced them to take shelter under a broken transport wing. Through it all, Nara stayed calm. She followed Jack's instructions, helped carry supplies, and even made a small fire using flint and wire. At night, they sat, together under the stars. Jack told her stories about the stars, the old ships of Earth, and the first humans who walked on alien soil. Nara listened, eyes wide with wonder. You're part of that story now, Jack told her. Me? Yes, because you survived, and because you chose to keep going. On the fourth day, they reached the outer ring. The air was colder here, the sky darker, but ahead stood a small outpost, glowing with soft blue lights. A tall metal gate opened. As they approached, a woman in a white coat stepped out, waving. She was older, with kind eyes and a calm voice. You must be Jack, she said. We got your signal. Jack stepped down from the rover. This is Nara. She needs a safe place, and someone who'll care about her future. The woman crouched beside Nara. Hello, little one. You're safe now. Nara looked at Jack. He nodded. She took the woman's hand. Inside the outpost, everything was clean and warm. Doctors and researchers moved quietly, focused but friendly. They ran tests on Nara, soft scans, gentle questions, nothing that scared her. Hours later, the lead medic returned with a small data tablet. She's special, she said. Her DNA could help develop healing treatments for many diseases, but more than that, she's a survivor. Jack listened closely. We want to give her a future, the medic continued. Education, protection, and a place where no one will hurt her again. Jack smiled with relief. That's all I ever wanted. Nara came over and hugged him tightly. Are you leaving? She asked. Jack knelt to her level. I'll be nearby, I'll visit, and one day when you're ready you can choose where to go next. She nodded, eyes wet but smiling. I want to help people, just like you helped me. Weeks passed. Nara began studying with the outpost teachers. She learned fast, faster than anyone expected. She asked questions, drew pictures, wrote her name, on a tablet with pride. Jack stayed in the area, helping with transport work and supplies. But every few days he visited Nara. They walked in the garden, shared stories, and built small models of planets from old metal parts. One day, Nara stood in the colony marketplace, not hiding this time, but standing tall. She held a small basket with food and water packs. Across the street, a young alien boy sat alone, his clothes torn, his eyes hollow, just like Nara once was. She walked over, knelt down, and offered him bread and water. The boy looked at her, confused. It's okay, Nara said softly. You can take it. He grabbed it and ran. Nara stood watching him disappear into the alley. From across the street, Jack watched her. She turned and smiled at him, and Jack knew. Her story had just begun.